Hi everyone, it's your Simmer here. So back here later on the farm with Lomeric. So I've got plowing I can do on these fields, but obviously to do that I need to collect these up and clear them out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to need to figure out where they go. So it looks like you can get 5 bales on the truck here. Oh, this is one of the loud ones. I was thinking maybe it was not, but it is. So this should go relatively quickly, but figured I'd let you see it. I've used something like this. I haven't used something specifically like this because it's not been something that is collected or connected to a trailer normally. Or a tractor, I should say, a truck. It's usually, what I'm used to is connected to a tractor. So what I need to figure out is where the cotton bales go. Because if he has a store, that's one thing, but I'm not sure I've seen a bale store. Alright, so that's full, but as you can see, I think we've just got this one other... oh no, there's a few more showing up. I was going to say, we just have the one bale on the field. So there's a pallet and a bale warehouse here. I just don't know if it takes these or not. So I'm going to take a try at it, that's for sure. So we'll go here and we'll see what it says. Let's see. It's telling me unload bales, but so I guess we'll find out in a moment. And if it doesn't take them, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. All right, yeah, it doesn't look like they fit in there. Interesting. So now we have that, and then we will run around here and see how this plays out in this case. Because yeah, that's... I think this will work. If not, this is going to be interesting, so... So hopefully, there we go, it did take them, so... Good job. Love it. Alright. So now we know we're good there, and I can just come and grab the rest of these. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to be working on this tonight. I don't know how far I'm going to get. I'll certainly collect all the bales. I don't think that's going to take me that long. And I'll get those collected, and then I'm going to start doing some plowing, and then I'll be on tomorrow to continue with the additional work here, but figured rather than not give you this unique work that I've not done here in Farmers Only Club yet, that I would at least give you a few minutes and help you explore, or let you explore with me, what we've got available. So I'll be back in a bit. Back on the next morning, just getting nav stuff done. So I'm going to go ahead and run around and do that. Looks like the eggs got cleared. So good shape there. So I'm just going to get the work done, and then I'll move on from there. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so I'm back here on Endicott Farms, which is Lomeric's farm. And today is Olive Day, so that is going to be what I'm going to start with. And just try to get going on that. So set my line. Just got a tiny bit of time right now. Today's a little bit out of the ordinary in that today is the day, big day, but today is the day with the premiere for Farmers Only Club, the first episode, and I'm doing a premiere for the first time ever on the channel. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm a little nervous, I guess, in that I'm not entirely sure how it's all going to work, because I've never done it, so hopefully I'll like actually be able to show up, but you know, I'm gonna need to get there probably a little bit early, so wanted to get going on this because this should go relatively quickly. One of the things that I talked about with Limerick after the episode yesterday when I was done, I had mentioned I was getting on. They were all on and playing, and so I was getting on with voice chat at that point. So when I was talking, it's one of the benefits of being a farmhand, because he was explaining how he himself preferred to be a farmhand rather than a contractor, because you could get to know an operation a lot better that way. So it's the same type of thing. Like, I am now kind of in a repeat cycle. I mean, especially after doing the corn on 18 and 19. At this point, I think I've experienced most of his farm. I figured out the bales just a little bit earlier. So, there's probably still going to be things here and there that I might run across that, will take some effort to figure out. But for the most part, I'm kind of getting as familiar here as if I had my own farm with how things would operate and getting better at it. So for example, the width here for these harvesters, like, I know what they are now, so I can much more easily set up on the line, just similar to when I prune the grapes. I think I've got a setting for that will work. So I'm going to have to look at that and see if that functions when we get to pruning. But basically, what is on the focus right now for the farm is obviously get the olives done, because that's what's really got to be done today, so that I think it stays on the October cycle afterwards. And then beyond that, go ahead and try to plow as many of the fields as I can, but obviously I've got a bit of time constraint here and there, and we'll see how much time I'm able to devote to it today beyond that. So I'm certainly gonna try to help and so forth, but sometimes that's a bit of a challenge. So we're gonna go ahead here. So now I've got these. I should actually be able to, well, you know what, I'm not. Yeah, 34 is going to be too much, so I think I'm going to have to empty it down there. Now I'm trying to remember, because there was a bigger trailer I used, because the other cart that I had for grapes, I think, is just for grapes. So I remember I did find something for the olives, so that part is slipping my mind, that I'm going to have to figure out exactly what was happening there to be able to unload this when I get down to the end. But, we're already on our second row, so the nice thing is, we're proceeding at whatever speed we can. But I wanted to get on for a little bit here before anything changed, and that at least I started the work before I got on to take a look at the premiere. So to do as much as I can in the little time I have, I'm going to go ahead and focus on this without chatting with you guys right now, and then I'll be back later, either just depending what I'm going to need to do, because I also had a problem that the server crashed as I was doing work for Nav. I got lost connection, and I tried a couple times, and I'm like, you know what, this server's coming up, that one is not, that one could be down for who knows how long. So instead of playing the refresh game, I figured, let me get in here, do some work here, and then I'll have to also return and try to finish Nav's work sometime today as well. But I'll see you in a bit. I'm back here, continuing to move along. Premiere is over. Went well. Still a pretty small channel, as likely you're aware. if you're here and looking at things. I'm imagining by the time this video comes out, I'm not suddenly going to have grown 1,000 times to the size. Maybe, hopefully, get a few more subscribers and so forth, but for the size, I think I did okay. I think at the highest level, there were 9 people watching. People definitely, I think, came and went. I mean, I don't think it stayed 9 for very long. Some of it, obviously, is, again, style. My style is not a style that works for everybody. It's just kind of that stream of consciousness and just large, long videos. So, therefore, I talk about a topic for probably a lot longer than folks may be looking for. If they're looking for the short, quick, you know, here's this, here's that, and so forth, that is far, far too common on YouTube, in my opinion, to actually cover anything in depth. But had 2 or 3 folks, I think, that hung around from start to finish, so that was wonderful to at least have some folks to interact with, get some feedback from, and so forth. So I'm assuming, again, if you're watching this video, you likely have at least seen the first one. You may have skipped some of the others, but if not, you know, a good way to see how this all started here at Farmers Only. So as you can see, I'm on to plowing. I was able to, kind of made the decision because I have a limited amount of time this morning and I wanted to make progress. I was able to get and maintain the premiere and do the chat on one screen, and then go ahead and continue doing the work I needed to on another. So I was able to use the time to keep working. So all the olives are done. That got taken care of, and then obviously this is jumping back on to what I was starting to plow a little bit last night after I picked up the cotton bales. So at this point we've got a pretty full server, I think. Honestly, if there isn't an FM that's on this server that isn't on right now, I'm not sure who it is. I think there may be 1 or 2 others, but I think, you know, Geyser and Shazam, Bright, Lomeric joined just a moment ago. Swapped out tractors for me, so if I don't remember what I had recorded here and there, so content-wise you may have seen me using a John Deere for this. I guess it's a little bit underpowered. I didn't really look at it because I saw it was large, and I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine, and if it's not, I'll be able to tell because it'll be ridiculously slow, but it's slightly underpowered because I think this takes 680 horse for this plow, and the John Deere is 670, but this case is 692, so he had driven this out and basically said, hey, this is technically the only tractor that has the horsepower to do this, so he had me swap. So I am now using this case. Just got a few minutes left that I can devote this morning. I may be able to get back on, but once again, Lomeric is on, so he may make who knows what progress. But I know, I think plowing the oil seed under on 1819, but we're basically into a point now where we're just doing a lot of plowing in the off season, and all the harvesting is complete because we've got the grapes pulled off that I did the other day, we've got the olives, and obviously all the cotton and the corn got done. Alright, that's someone else. It's blue. I don't know by colors. I suppose, again, if it was my home server and I was the FM here, I'd be a lot more familiar. I'm not sure how much longer I'll go. Maybe just 4 or 5 more minutes, so see what I can come up with, what jumps to mind. Might as well keep you with that long, and then anything like I do later today, I probably won't hop back in because it'll just be plowing, unless, you know, if I pick up something totally different. I suppose something I can share, I do have a couple folks who have reached out, again, hey, you looking for work, this, that, and so forth. So you know, there may be other opportunities coming along that work out, but I don't want to overcommit. because I think some folks are looking for, I had one who said, they're an hour a day, and they did have to fire a couple farmhands, they said, because in 4 days neither of them had logged on at all. And so I would imagine if you're trying to expect some work to get done and then suddenly nothing gets done, obviously that gets a little frustrating. So I could see what their point is, but they were looking for something a little bit more consistent, and therefore, again, I just wanted to be honest. Like, I might be able to do that, but I was just a little leery of saying for certain I could. Alright, so I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is head over across the way to field 1 over here, and then make a dent, or I guess field 6. Keep getting them screwed up. Not clear in my head yet, but that will help. And then we for the cotton side, we just have these 3 ready here. Like I said, 18, 19 are pretty big later. But I'm thinking it might be easier to get some of these done for him, or at least make a good dent in them. And then the AI is probably a little bit easier on working with some of the other fields, just because there's less trees and less stuff around, and they're a little bit bigger as well, so they can just kind of do their thing. So right now I don't see any money ticking down, so I'm assuming he's got no AI running. But I might be able to get the headland done here. I'm not sure. So see what's happening, and then once again it becomes, in theory, we've got a few months to get this plowing done. It's just a matter of whether he chooses to leave some or not. But I'd like to get a little bit of exposure to some other folks, just to make sure that I'm in good shape with work again, because I've got the couple months of downtime, for example, here that happens. And so if I can get some extra folks that have stuff to send my way, that would be good. So I think if I have some extra time today, I would at least jump on and try to do something for someone else, and then maybe come back and do a little bit more plowing here, depending on where things end up. So that's what I will be doing, but at this point I'm gonna go ahead, well, I'll probably go ahead and run around here. I think this is a bit of a smaller field than 1 is across the way that I was just on. So yeah, I don't think we can quite see it. I think that one with a little ring around it is 8, which is the other farmer. I think it's the bluish farmer in between or whatever, because I know he had run a headland around that field, basically, is what I see on the map when I look at it. But it's still a decent sized field, so I'm thinking it still may be 7 or 8 rows. Might be more than that. I mean, at that point when we turned around, I think we were at 35. Now we're down to 33. Because again, I'm heading up and over, so now it finally went to 32. So you can see it's taken a bit to move over, but I also think that 35 probably didn't count a couple, 2 or 3 that were the other way, because you can see where that point is. It's a little bit west of the edge of the field. And obviously here we're going to move some, so I'm imagining this is at least 2 or 3 rows here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're at 27, 26 by the time I get to the edge of the field. But we'll run up at that point and see how it goes. So just switch to 28. There's always plenty to do, for certain. So, I will say it was interesting, certainly. Obviously, I don't typically go back and really watch any of the videos I put together because I'm just too busy generating new content and doing new things. So it's less, per se, generating new content. It's I just am going forward and playing. So it's like once I've recorded and then published, it's I move on and don't go back. So this being the premiere, obviously part of having a premiere was going ahead and you watch it with folks kind of at the same time, and then you're able to chat with each other. So was able to do that. There was a little bit of chat here and there. I probably no more than 20 or 30 comments in the entire hour and 40 minutes or whatever the video had. But it was still something, and more importantly, I just got to see how I started out here, what I had to say, how I was feeling at the time. And just like anything, any creator, I think, you watch your work and you're like, oh, I would have done that different, and so forth. So I do think for something as an intro, I didn't do myself any favors, I think, with the initial 10 minutes I spent just sitting in one place and talking. There was nothing to really watch. Obviously, folks had to be interested. It was really more for the folks that would be coming from the old FSN series. And so, as far as grabbing new folks, it probably wasn't very compelling, and I'm hoping I don't lose a bunch of people who aren't willing to go past the beginning. Hopefully, if nothing else, they'll skip forward and jump into the middle of the video then and be like, is he still talking about this? Has he moved? But because I didn't see people leaving in the premiere, but it was one of those that even I was a little cringy, like, this is enough. I should have started moving. I should have, I've been kind of talking about the same thing 7 different ways. I should have skipped to another topic faster. And that's one of those things that, because they're not really scripted episodes, it's just stream of consciousness. Sometimes it's long, and at least if I'm doing this, like, you can watch me make progress and you can enjoy Farming Simulator as you're listening to whatever I happen to be talking about. Because I think it's easier for folks to just listen when they're not just staring at the same thing. But all I was doing was, in essence, spinning around my tractor. So I would change that, but aside from that, I think it was a decent beginning, a good understanding, especially with what I knew then. Obviously, I hadn't become a farmhand for anyone yet. I'd really done very little to get into the community, so a lot of it was, my understanding is, this is what I've been told, as opposed to what I'm certainly able to do now is, this is my experience with this, specifically in Farmers Only. It's like the completionist in me is like, I kind of want to finish this field, but then I think I'm going to leave myself a really, really tight time frame. So I just don't think it's realistic to happen, and rather than pushing it, I probably should just step away at this point and move on. So I think I'm going to do that, and nothing really else to share. If something comes up, it'll likely be a new episode, because I'm sure this is quite lengthy at this point. So I will see you guys next time.